Hi boys and girls, it's Socio back with another video. Today we're going to look at the 5 takeaways from the West Ham versus Manchester United game. Bit of a crazy game, quite enthralling for the neutral, I'd say. Both teams lacking quality in certain areas, but a lot of talking points to be had. So let's crack on with it. So my number one talking point, David De Gea. Obviously, we know from his form back to his best, I would suggest. Was quality against Southampton with that Armstrong save. Then against Wolves, made that double save against Saiss. He was instrumental in this game with that last minute penalty save. And this is what David De Gea was doing when he was in his prime. He was making these crucial saves as well that you wouldn't expect because not a lot of keepers can reach, especially with using his legs. And by doing so, he was getting United points on the board that they didn't really deserve. Now, hopefully, from United fans' perspective, they can get it together as a complete performance, and then you wouldn't have to rely on David De Gea. And then, hopefully, in the scenario where you are dominating games, David De Gea has his concentration high and doesn't let any sort of sloppy mistakes go in on this occasion for this season. So, yeah, David De Gea, quality start to the season. Long may that continue. That's number one. Number two, Jesse Lingard. J-Lings, I mean, what more can be said? From zero to hero midweek with an absolute shocking back pass. Obviously gave young boys that historic win. And then, today he came on with Jadon Sancho about 70-75 minutes. What I love about Jesse Lingard is when he is at his best, you can't deny that he makes things happen. One thing I really like about his game is that he has this shot technique where he doesn't have to lean back too much. He has very limited back lift, and it still can go flying into the top corner. So it is difficult to predict as a goalkeeper, as a player, what kind of shot he's going for. Wasn't great defended by Kurt Zouma, but the finish, can't take that anything away from Jesse Lingard. Absolute sumptuous finish. And what my takeaway really from this is that Jesse Lingard, has a future at Man United. Now, some fans won't like that, because obviously there's value in Jesse. We could have sold him in the summer. I wouldn't have had an aversion to that either. But now that we've kept him and we're seeing the value in the player, really, he can come on, influence games. And if he sort of maybe gives up the ghost on his England career and realises that, he's pushing 28 now, at best he's going to be a bit part player in any kind of England experience, then he should just be looking at to prolong his career at Manchester United. He's going to have to be someone that comes off the bench and delivers the goods when we need him. Like I say, big time player really. When he scored that goal in the FA Cup final on the half volley, another sort of terrific goal, limited back lift. Like I say, he pops up with these goals and he certainly rises to the occasion. And having a player that obviously is a relatively local lad that's obviously grown up through the youth setup, knows what it means to be a Man United player and can pop up in these big occasions. I mean, I'm all for it. So hopefully Jesse can continue in this vein. Number 3, centre of defensive midfield. Again, absolute horror show. Fred and McTominay trying to outdo each other with how bad they're playing. McTominay, you can forgive him a little bit because it was his first game back after a reasonably long period out with injury. Fred had a decent game in the Champions League midweek, but again, like I say, they can't get a full 90 minutes of quality out of him. They'll have one good moment and then one shocking moment. Fred often gets caught over pressing players, gets done on the half turn too easily by overcommitting in the challenge. McTominay's seems to be always out of position. It really was disheartening. I'm sick of talking about this subject, really. It's really, really dull, boring topic. The fact that Man United didn't address this in the summer, and we've seen the way we've performed over the last few games. We're not controlling games. Our game management's poor, and we saw when Matic came on what a proper defensive mid is like. A guy that sort of calm on the ball, screens the back four well, gets in good positions, played that nice fizzed in ball for Jesse Lingard for his goal. It's just such a shame. Obviously, he's now over the hill really. And it can only sort of play in bit parts, but you were crying out for a player like an Nemanja Matic, obviously in his prime years, and you look at the opposition in that game. There he is, Declan Rice. I mean, the fact that they didn't sign Camavinga, didn't go after Sal Niguez for a loan option to buy. Other options, like I say, Basuma and Neves, certainly I think were gettable if you put the right money in. The fact that they didn't do that suggests to me that they've really chosen Declan Rice as their #1 target. And I don't disagree with it if you can land the man, because he's 22 years old. He seems to just be getting better each season. Has an ability to carry the ball as well, which we saw in that goal he scored in the Europa League. We saw it a bit in that game down the left. I just think he's a terrific player, great talent, and I think he will know what it means to wear a United shirt. He really plays with a lot of heart, and will just run through brick walls. And I think that's certainly a United type player. So, yeah, all be forgiven if obviously we did end up securing his signature. But if we didn't and we had another poor season, then yeah. It doesn't make great reading for the owners and obviously Solskjaer in terms of his setup every week. So yeah, moving on. VAR, absolute, it has good moments, bad moments. I think in the Euros, the fact that where they kept the game flowing more, VAR was sort of like a less of a talking point. But it's certainly a talking point in this game, and the fact that United almost lost the game based on a VAR decision, which I completely disagreed with. When like 5 minutes earlier they could have had a VAR decision go their way. It was just a bit of a clown fiesta, really. I thought Ronaldo probably didn't help himself with some of his antics and reactions to his decisions. There was that early one with Soufal where he sort of takes the ball to Soufal's left. Soufal sticks out a leg, and Ronaldo probably had a second to sort of get around it, but deliberately sort of kept sort of running down that channel of where Soufal's leg is left out. But obviously once you've left the leg out, you're kind of at the mercy of the attacker. So I do think that could have gone either way, but the fact that it's not clear and obvious, absolutely fine. I can understand that one. But then the Kurt Zuma one, he takes a quick little snap shift with his left foot just at the last second to pull it away from Zuma's on the stretch leg. It's a definite penalty, and I think the antics of Ronaldo cost him. They thought, oh, he's going over easily again. But for me, that was clear and obvious. How you don't give that, I do not know. And then, to rub salt into the wounds, the fact that, West Ham go down the other end on the right-hand side, put a cross in, and Luke Shaw's stretching out to block the cross. And when you stretch out for things, naturally you stick your arms out for balance. It was a complete natural movement. And to be only 1 metre, 1.5 metres away from where the ball is struck at a lot of pace means you're never going to get your arm out of the way. Just absolutely ridiculous. I can't fathom how nonsensical and poor the understanding of some of these officials of the actual game. It's unbelievable. I'm sick to death of when they get called over to the monitor, and then it's not to look at it objectively. It's just to play a slow motion replay of the most clear angle which supports the decision that the VAR person wants to give. The slow-mo reverse angle of Luke Shaw just with his arm out like this on repeat is absolutely ridiculous. To think that's how they approach it. So yeah, just would have been a travesty if that had gone in, that penalty. And thankfully, justice, it didn't go in, and United secured the win. And then last point, Mark Noble. I know, what do you guys think? A guy that's obviously a club legend at West Ham, retiring at the end of the season. He's obviously got a great penalty record. He scored his last 10 penalties. They had the graphic up of his last 5 with the balls in the net. Obviously all scored. You can understand why you'd bring someone like that on to take a penalty. But we saw with Sancho and Rashford in the Euros what it's like to come on, not really have much of a warm-up, and then be put under a lot of pressure. It's similar type of pressure, having to do a penalty shootout or a last minute penalty, not like you coming on and taking a 60th minute penalty where you can still do something in the game. These people are coming on cold, and all they're good for is this penalty. They're not good for anything else, nothing before, nothing after. It's literally just to take the penalty, and that's it. So yeah, whoever's decision that was, whether it was Mark Noble's himself or obviously David Moyes, poor one really. They had players on the pitch that could have taken penalties. Declan Rice has taken a few last season which he scored. Aaron Cresswell, I see him as kind of a light version of Leighton Baines. He's got a good left foot on him, could have easily taken penalties. There were players on that pitch that could have taken a penalty quite easily in that situation. And yeah, I just think that was clearly an absolute mistake. But yeah, they're my 5 takeaways for the game. Please like, share, comment and subscribe. If you think Mark Noble should have taken the penalty, say so in the comments. Whether you think Jesse Lingard has a future, a long-term future at Man United, have your say. And whether you think this Man United team are actually going to improve at any point during the season, or is this what we're expecting for the remainder of games now? Is just this constant battle and struggle to get through 90 minutes. So yeah, they're my thoughts on the game. Thanks very much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.